Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another stale movie review and a remake for the original. I can't remember the last time I did one of these. What was the last one? House of Wax? Okay, so it wasn't that long ago. We're fine. So today I'm going to be talking about remake versus original on the Amityville Horror. This comes to me via Patreon royalty suggestion from Beatrice. If you don't know, one of the perks to the creepy royalty level, which is the $6 tier on my Patreon, is you get to plan one of my videos each month, and it's guaranteed that I will do that. And you may be asking, Vicky, why has Beatrice got 2 videos this week? That is because I missed seeing her comment for the month of March, and she had suggested things for March videos. So I promised her that I would do 2 this month to make up for being an idiot last month. So that is why. So she was telling me in the comments on my Patreon page that she has been marathoning everything Amityville Horror lately. So she wanted me to do something on Amityville Horror. And I couldn't pick one movie to talk about, so I thought I would do a remake versus original because those are always fun. Right, so speaking of creepy patron peeps, I want to say thank you to Beatrice and all of my creepy patron peeps for your support of my channel. If you want to find out all the other perks to being a creepy patron peep, you can follow that link in the description. Sorry, all of my videos are going to be extra long this week because I have all these announcements. You're probably tired of hearing this, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that Emma from Spooky Astronauts and myself are starting a monthly live stream show. We're going to be collabing each month on a show that we're calling Does This Offend You?, where we're going to be talking about controversial horror films. The shows are going to be on both of our channels. They're going to alternate. So the very first show is on April 6th. It's going to be on 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. On my channel first, on this channel that you're on right now. And we're going to be talking about Cannibal Holocaust and the Green Inferno if you want to check them out beforehand. Oh, it's Thursday when you're seeing this, so it's tomorrow, yay! Sorry, it's Monday when I'm filming this, so it still feels like far away. Right, anyways, on to the remake versus original. Like I've been doing for the past couple remakes versus originals, the text and stuff will be color coded so as not to get confusing, especially towards the end when I'm talking about the ratings and things like that. So first we're going to talk about the original Amityville Horror, which came out in 1979. For George and Kathy Lutz, the Long Island colonial house on the river's edge seemed ideal. Quaint, spacious, and amazingly affordable. Of course, 6 brutal murders have taken place there just a year before, but houses don't have memories, or do they? Soon their dream house becomes a hellish nightmare as walls begin to drip blood and satanic forces threaten to destroy them. Now, after 28 days, the Lutz family must attempt to escape from the demonic inhabitants or forfeit their lives. I really do like the effects, you know, kind of going back to the the walls dripping blood and all of that. I do like the effects in this movie, like with the blood dripping walls and everything like that. I think they're done really well. And all the other kind of effects are really kept quite minimal, or they're very easy to pull off, like chairs moving and things like that, window slamming on its own or something like that. So I feel like those are nice because they're easily done and you don't need to CGI those sort of things. So it makes it feel more real because it's, you know, actually happening. Like it's probably just somebody rigging it to happen, obviously, but something about not seeing it in CGI makes it feel more real, which is good. That's what I was trying to get at. And I liked how a lot of the scenes of like terror and really scary things happening were kind of centered on Kathy's reactions. I thought that was a really interesting choice. Like, I feel like the movie is, obviously it's supposed to be about the family, but I feel like it's mostly about her. She's really the only one I feel like that's not really affected by the house. Definitely not in the way George is, and definitely not in the way her daughter is. So she's kind of like the glue that's kind of trying to hold this family together. So anytime something scary happens, for the most part, like you'll see a flash of the scary thing, but then it's mostly Kathy's reaction to what she's saying, which I thought was really interesting. And you can really see her. I liked how her clothes and her style was kind of telling her story a little bit. So at the beginning of the movie, she looks super childish. And I think that's done on purpose. Like, she wears her hair in pigtails, she wears ribbons in her hair. There's one instance where she is kind of wearing like a schoolgirl kind of skirt. She looks, you know, very childish. Even though she's a mother, you can tell her and George, you know, they're a young couple. And I think that kind of feeds into, one, them not being believed by people when they say that something is wrong with the house because they're younger. I guess, you know, it's easier to kind of write off, well, they're just being scared, you know, they're getting scared by something simple, you know, they're not adults yet or something like that. But like I was talking about how Kathy is like the glue of the family, like I feel like she really has to kind of grow up a little bit herself, because everything is kind of happening to everybody else in her family and she's the only one she's just kind of witnessing, you know, she's not being affected by the house in the way the other people in her family are. So she really needs to, you know, mom up and take care of her family. And I think that's reflected in the clothes that she's wearing. The intro is super short. I feel like they really brush over the whole like DeFeo murders part of the story. Which, you know, I just put it in my dislikes because I feel like it doesn't set the tone for the movie very well, because that's kind of like, that's the inciting incident. That's the whole reason why the house is haunted. And I feel like it rockets through that part really fast. And I feel like it doesn't set the scene very well. And the only thing I can think of as to why they did that was probably because this movie came out in 1979 and the actual incident only happened like the whole story with like the families and everything in this house happened like 5 years before or something like that. So I maybe kind of imagine they did that just because it was probably still fresh in everybody's minds. Like they already knew the story, but it doesn't make for a good film down the line, I feel like. Even though I already know the story myself, but I don't know, you guys know what I mean. I also feel like there wasn't really a good buildup of scary things happening. I guess I'm kind of used to the formula nowadays where the scary instances kind of build up. So it's like tiny little incidents that keep getting more and more vicious and dangerous until we get to the high point of the movie. Whereas this movie kind of just takes off, like, so it's like right after the opener, you know, the Lutz family is moving in and then the priest shows up and then he gets violently ill in the house, and I don't know, it just goes from 0 to 60. And then for a long time, nothing else happens. I don't know, it just felt like the pacing was really weird. I also felt the ending wasn't all that like harrowing or scary or anything like that. I feel like George gets over his kind of like possession kind of deal really fast. And then they just run out of the house, and then that's pretty much it until he goes back and saves the dog. Oh, that's a part I forgot to say in my likes, that the dog lives. I feel like George going back is kind of meant to be like really the climax of the movie, because he's going back in the house by himself and we already know he's like prone to being possessed in that house. But I feel like it really wasn't all that dramatic. I was mostly worried that the dog was gonna make it out, not really worried about George. I'll just go ahead and read the summary of this one, which I guess is slightly different, although not really different. In December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, move into an elegant Long Island house. What they don't know is that the house was the site of a horrific mass murder a year before. They decide to keep the house and attempt to keep the horror in the past, but are now haunted by a murderous presence. This is until George starts to behave weirdly and their daughter Chelsea starts to see people. What follows is 28 days of sheer unbridled terror for the family with demonic visions of the dead. Based on the true story of George and Kathy Lutz, the Amityville Horror remains one of the most horrifying haunted house stories ever told, because it actually happened. That's debatable. Well, as far as the remake goes, what I liked about the movie: first, Ryan Reynolds. Second, I feel like this movie had more of a balance between the family story and the haunting story, where I felt the original was mostly centered on the family. Like the little instances that happen in the original are not all that dramatic. And I feel like it focuses mostly on like the family's reaction to these events and like how the family unit is being broken down because of this haunting. I feel like the remake balances those two elements a little bit better. Like you get to see like how the family is being affected, like their relationships with each other are being affected by this haunting, paired with, you know, scary scenes of like ghosts and freaky things happening. So I thought that was a nice balance. I feel like out of all the kids in the original, Amy gets the most screen time, obviously because she is talking to Jody, who is not there. And the boys really don't get a whole lot of screen time ever. So I like that in the remake, the kids, obviously Chelsea, who is the equivalent of Amy between these two movies, still gets a lot of screen time because, you know, she's still talking to little ghost girl Jody. But the boys also get a lot of screen time too, which I really like because the parents, like, you know, leave the house a lot. Like they go on, you know, like dates, leave them with babysitters, things like that. And a lot of scary things are happening to the kids too, not just to the adults. So I really like that. I feel like the parents' story is mostly like George being possessed and Kathy dealing with that. And then the kids' side of it is them actually kind of seeing scary things happen, like ghostly scary things happen. So I like that the kids got a bit more story. They got a bit more screen time in the remake. And also Ryan Reynolds. The only things I didn't like about the remake, it does have a lot of your typical jump scares because this did come out in, what was it, 2005? Yeah, 2005. So it's, you know, very jump scare heavy. I wasn't so much a fan of Kathy's character in the remake. I feel like she was a much stronger, like, womanly, motherly force in the original as opposed to this remake, which is better. I'm gonna get hate for this, but I kind of like the remake a little bit better, and it's not just because Ryan Reynolds. Pacing wise, the remake is better, and it just has more of that rewatch factor. I will say the original one is quite long. I feel like it's like 2 hours long, like, which I know is not that much longer compared to like an hour-and-a-half movie, but I don't know, it just feels way longer. Yeah. They're both good. I just prefer the remake slightly more to the original. For the ratings, on IMDb, the original has a 6.2, while the remake has, did I say original? The original has a 6.2 out of 10, while the remake has a 6 out of 10, so not that big of a difference there. They're actually quite close, both of them. On Rotten Tomatoes, the original has a 29% critic score and a 52% audience score, where the remake has a 24% critic score, but still a 52% audience score. So they're really neck and neck. The only thing is on Roger Ebert, there's no score for the remake. The original has a 1.5 out of 4 on that site. You can watch both of the films on Amazon, so I'll leave affiliate links to those in the description box. There's no pressure to use the links, but if you do use them, it helps out the channel a little bit. You know, in the comment section down below if you've seen both Amityville horrors, and let me know what you think about them. Let me know which you think is better. As always, you can follow me at all the normal social media places. The links for those are in the description. You can also find me on my blog at nightmaremaven.com. I'm losing my voice. On morereallybeautiful.com and on their YouTube channel as a contributing writer and host. And you can also find me at patreon.com/nightmaremaven if you want to check that out and support the channel. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a creepy peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday, and make sure you hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every single time I post a video and or go live, because YouTube will not notify you all the time if you're just subscribed. Just found that out. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye!